Hello and welcome to the Federal viewers. India just suffered a heartbreaking series whitewash against New Zealand. Uh, Quite a shock for the Indian cricket team fans, and a lot of talks are on about the future of the Indian cricket team and what are the issues that need to be addressed, or whether this series whitewash needs to be viewed as a one-off. So, to discuss about this, joining us today is Mr. Sridharan Sriram, former India cricketer and former Australian cricket team fielding coach and former RCB coach as well. Hello, sir.
Hello,
And
everyone.
along with him, joining me is Vignesh, who's a keen cricket viewer and an expert as well, and also Aprameya, who is my colleague here at the Federal. Hi, all.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks, Ashwin.
Yeah. So I would like to begin with Sriram. I want your first thoughts on the defeat.
No, it just caught everyone by surprise. Everybody were expecting a 3-0 whitewash from India to New Zealand, given the way they had played against Bangladesh. And given that New Zealand had come off a big defeat against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, so everybody thought that it's going to be a 3-0 whitewash and we'll just coast into the World Test Championship final. But this came as a very, very rude shock, I must admit.
Right. Aprameya, I want to ask you. There are reports, stating that the seniors might be phased out, after the Border Gavaskar Trophy. But in my opinion, I think we cannot just use the word seniors and push them all out, right? Some selection needs to happen based on merit. And of course, it's only Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli who've struggled for runs. In my opinion, Ashwin and Jadeja have, they have done their bit with the ball, right? We cannot really fault them. So do you think it would be fair to phase out all seniors, or does the phasing out need to happen based on merit?
Right, Ashwin. First of all, as Sriram pointed out, this was root actually. Even last time when we discussed pre-series show, I also had predicted 3-0 for India. The way India dominated in the Test cricket at home, 18 series victories in a 12-year streak. So it has come as a root shock for not only for the players and for the fans as well. And to answer your question on seniors. I would think that it is not a wise move to suddenly phase out a Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma or Ashwin or Jadeja, because where are the replacement? When you talk about a replacement for a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma, it takes time. You have to groom the youngsters. If Rohit and Kohli are struggling in such conditions, what about the youngsters? And we have seen Sarfaraz Khan, who's been a giant in domestic cricket. He's done well so much in Ranji Trophy, but he's also struggled apart from one innings of 150. So it needs to be in a phased manner. And we have to wait and watch how the Australian series pans out. What if Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma get back into form and they score heavily? And I must add that maybe Sriram can throw light on this. Did we miss Cheteshwar Pujara in these conditions? He's a big batsman.
If I want to add to what Aprameya said, I think Australia has a very big series now coming up. I think all the focus should be on that one. Yeah, the series is gone, and I'm talking purely from a coaching perspective. If you are the coach or if you are the think tank of the Indian cricket team, I think there should not be even talks about phasing out. You've announced the team for the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and this is the team that's going to play. So there's no point in talking about phasing out or dropping. So I think everything can wait till the Australia tour finishes. Let the tour finish. Let's see what the Indian team does over there, and then I think that will be a good time to start talking about what we need to do going forward. Remember, India don't play another Test series at home till September 2025. So they've got Australia and
Right.
England coming up, two big series, which I think against very good opponents. So you need the experience for sure. How are we able to get the best out of Virat and Rohit will be Gautam Gambhir's biggest headache.
Right. Vignesh, your thoughts on the seniors?
Well, it's a wake-up call for them. Definitely, it's a wake-up call for them. I do echo the thoughts of both Aprameya and Sriram talking about this, because one bad series doesn't mean that, you need to, have them ousted. That is not the end of the world for them. There's a lot of pressure, but, being an Indian and watching this, okay, as a cricket fan, you have more pressure, and even the players have got the humongous pressure to actually perform. The sad part to it, but we need to accept certain realities, is the fact that repeatedly over the 6 innings, both those people haven't actually contributed with the bat, right? And the way that what Rohit Sharma have got out is also something thought provoking, especially in the last 2 innings, 3 innings, where he has gone for those kind of rash shots, which is actually not needed at that particular point in time. Sriram has played those games in probably in early 2000, and the way the dynamics of that particular point was there, completely different from what it is right now. In 90s and 2000, they used to grind it out really well, leave alone the balls. Test match cricket will be going on to about 5 days. But here we are not even seeing 5 days of test cricket. There could be a lot of argument, and there could be a lot of debate about how the pitches are there. And there's a lot of things that what we are actually talking about. The ball is spinning, it's not easy. There have been where Wankhede has been this, where Indians once, I still remember against Australia, where Karthik came and actually took a lot of wickets on these kind of tracks to actually get a victory. Yes, all those kind of things are there, but application wise, it's very important. And I thought Rohit Sharma missed the plot over there, trying to go for so much ambitious shots. Good intent, but you can do that when you're on form. He was not on form at that particular point in time. And also the others have not contributed. If one person has not been informed, two of them have not been informed, others are able to contribute, it's okay. But we've got glimpses of hope from Rishabh Pant. We've got that from Shubman Gill in the first innings, but still a lot of them haven't been able to contribute in the way that needs to be contributed. And everybody's poor shot selection making is the reason for the downfall than any other thing. So that is something that we need to analyze and then put our mind forward how we need to play test cricket, even in tough pitches.
Yeah, that was going to be my question to Sriram as well. Next, Sriram, do you think that the current brand of cricket that India is looking to play, without players like Cheteshwar Pujara or Rahane, who can like bat out like 2 sessions, get blows on the body and still be there, has that been missing for a while now, or do you think this new brand of cricket is the way forward, or like could it click or could it not, or should India like try and play out more balanced brand of attacking cricket like it was under, let's say, Virat Kohli's captaincy, where we used to go for the wins. At the same time, we used to be able to have batters who can like play out 2 sessions.
I think it's important that we don't get very emotional there. We've seen Shubman Gill get big hundreds. We've seen Yashasvi Jaiswal get double hundreds against England. So it's not that they have not done it before. They have. And I think Apramay and Vignesh touched a little bit on it, the wickets. When Rahul Dravid was the coach, I think when we put out turners, the first test we always lost. Even against England, we lost the first test. Against Australia, we lost the first test. But then Rahul really sort of snapped it very quickly and said, rank turners is not the way to go. We must go for a wicket that starts spinning from day 3 late and day 4, day 5. You must give the batsman the opportunity in the first 3 days to, pile up the scores. And that's something Rahul did very well. He took the bounce out of the wicket. He made the England players play this make it difficult for them to sweep because of the lack of bounce. And against Australia, similarly, he took the bounce away. The Australians were good at playing bouncing deliveries, but he took the bounce away. So Rahul was, I think, very street smart in the way he tailored the Indian pitches. I think, and it's going to be a learning process for Gautam. And the difference between coaching in the IPL and coaching international cricket is that you've got to switch formats and switch format very, very, very quickly. And you always got to be one series ahead. And having worked in international cricket and having worked through the formats, I know from a coaching point of view that you've got to be one series ahead. Now you've already, when the New Zealand series is on, your eyes have to be on the Border Gavaskar. You must know who are the players who's going to succeed. You can't have emotional decision making and swap and change. Role clarity for the players is it's very essential. But that's something Rahul did really well. He had the stability in the squad. He experimented a little bit when he came in, but before the big tournaments like the World Cup in 2023 or the T20 World Cup, he had a very settled squad. And he knew what the roles were going to be for every player. You had Virat at 3, you had player like Shreyas Iyer, who was very good in playing spin at number 4 in the 2023 World Cup here. So he sort of selected his players who are going to do well in different conditions. And that's something Gautam's learning on the job. So I think he'll soon find his feet. He's done that for KKR. But when it comes to international cricket, I think switching formats and being slightly ahead of the curve is going to be something that he's going to realize. So if I'm not deviating, I think it's the right move. You've got to you've got to groom these youngsters. You've got to place faith in a Gill or a Jaiswal. Yes, Pujara has been a great servant. He's done so very well for India, but I think going forward, this should be the way for India. And I think just think about the wickets that we play and think about the roles for each batter and then give them the role clarity and then everything will start to change. I think that's where India should be. And I think Gautam will find his feet very soon. He would have realized it by now.
Right. And another question in my mind was like Vikram Rathore was doing a great job for as India's batting coach, and he was replaced. Apramaya, do you think that's a factor that the batters have suddenly lost form, or could it be because of like could Vikram Rathore should he have been retained, or is that a factor at all?
No, I don't agree with this, Ashwin, because the batting coach can only do a little bit. Because you ask any international player or any player, even Sriram will know that they can only do a little bit like fine tuning. So suddenly a new coach comes and you can't change the way batter bats, and you can't change how Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma has been playing over there. And it's a matter of form. Like even every player goes through a phase where there's a low dip in form and they emerge. That is the character of a great batter or a bowler. That how you emerge out of that bad phase. If you remember, Kohli had a very bad series in England, and how he emerged out of it and playing against James Anderson. That's the hallmark of a great cricketer. And one more thing I would like to add is Vikram Rathore was there, and obviously Sriram spoke about Rahul Dravid, and there's no better player or a coach like Rahul Dravid. If he was there in this situation, maybe it would have been different. The art of batting, who was better than the Great Wall of India. So that would have been different, and I don't think Vikram Rathore and Gautam Gambhir as Sriram mentioned, he is still finding his feet. Coaching a franchise side T20 cricket and Test cricket is entirely different, and he will learn, and the players will emerge, and we'll have results soon.
Right. Sriram, you mentioned about the preparation of the pitches and how Dravid was really street smart and curating the pitches according to the opponent. And but I want to take this whole pitch discussion into the domestic cricket as well. For a long time now, and domestic cricket, the pitches that have been prepared are like either green or flat. Like basically, it was done to produce more fast bowlers and create an environment for India to produce great fast bowlers, which has worked. We now have a set of good fast bowlers coming through, but has it led to a decline in India producing great spinners? Or there's been a lot of talk about Indian batters not being able to play spin, which I do not agree. But do you think it is it has had an impact?
I think first of all, this first class discussion should stop here. Every team produces wickets in home conditions where they've got to win. So Tamil Nadu produces turning tracks. And in down south, you have wickets that spin. West, you have red soil which bounces. In the north, it's winter, it's cold. So you born in Delhi, Dharamshala, you play in Chandigarh in January, it's very cold. So I think teams go according to their home strengths, and when they want outright wins, they produce wickets that at the end of the day, the coaches are answerable to their own states. They need wins. So I think there was a point of time, which was 10 years ago, that there was a mandate that you should have so many of minimum on which is to produce fast bowlers. I think those days are gone. Now I think we are back to first class cricket being played in diverse conditions. We've had turning tracks, we've had seaming conditions, we've got really flat tracks. We got a good mix of everything. We got 27 first class teams. So I mean, every corner of India comes with its own geographical impacts. So soil content and everything. There's so much more to soil science than we actually know. And I'm starting to learn about it, and the more I know, the more I'm getting amazed at the nature of the soil and how it breaks up and the water content, how much soil a particular soil retains. Orissa clay is not same as Chennai clay, so every clay is so different. So I think the generalized stocks on the wicket should stop. And secondly, I think India are producing good spinners. Manav Sutar, Sai Kishore, Washington Sundar coming through. Kuldeep Yadav is still young. He's a very good spinner. So there are spinners coming through for the next generation. And to your third point, India batting against spin, I think it's going to be impossible. I mean, it's a big statement that I'm making. It is going to be impossible for players to be successful in all three formats of the game, especially playing spin. So playing spin in T20 cricket requires standing and delivering ability. You don't use your feet. You don't sweep. These two shots are taken out of the equation in T20 cricket because wickets are flat. The length the bowlers bowl are different. They're slightly shorter. They're quicker. So you need hand speed. You need to be able to stand and deliver like what a Klassen or a Pooran does. Whereas in Test match cricket, when the ball spins, the length the spinners bowls are slightly fuller. So you got to be able to get to the ball. You got to be able to use your feet, able to play the sweep shot to take away that length from the spinner. Spinners are slightly slower in the air compared to T20 cricket. So two different skills of batting when it comes to two different formats. And it's going to be extremely difficult for batters to adapt. That's what Jaiswal is learning. That's what Shubman Gill is learning. That's what Rishabh Pant is learning. It's hard. Like Rohit and Virat have done that for so many years. They are struggling. When they play the T20 cricket, come and play on turning balls. And you see foreign countries, Joe Root doesn't play T20 cricket. He's extremely successful. Kane Williamson doesn't play T20. Will Young doesn't play T20 cricket. Tom Latham doesn't play T20 cricket. The guys who are really doing well, even for other countries, are players who don't play T20 cricket. Coming to India and scoring runs on turning tracks requires a completely different skill set. So when we are asking players like Gill to be successful, Gill or a Jaiswal or anybody for that matter to be successful in all three formats, we suddenly talk about Gill's strike rate in T20 cricket if he bats slightly slow. And in turning tracks, you want him to bat 250 balls. So the expectations of the public are too much for the players to be able to withstand and adapt. It's going to be extremely difficult. I probably am not, I may not, a lot of old timers may not agree with me, but it's going to be greatly difficult, and it's very impossible to compare players like Brian Lara or Sachin Tendulkar or slightly early Rahul Dravid or Lakshman. They hardly played T20 cricket. They didn't have to make so many adjustments to their game. So I think comparing these youngsters to the greats of the yesteryears is, I think, uncalled for. And I think the more they've got to make the decision which format they're going to play. And the day will not be far off when you have T20 specialists and test specialists, totally separate teams. Same for the bowlers. It's going to be extremely difficult for bowlers to adapt to different formats of the game. And that's where the game is going. T20 is a completely different sport. It's like hockey and tennis. And when we just say cricket, test cricket is completely different from T20 cricket. Two different skill sets. The bat swing changes. You talk about leaving balls. You can't do that in T20 cricket. The bat swing needs to be more horizontal, whereas in test cricket, it needs to be more vertical. So the plane of the bat coming down changes. The bottom hand dominates more in T20 cricket, whereas the top hand dominates more in like test cricket. So it's two different games, two different skill sets. And people got to start understanding that.
Yeah, my next question was going to be about that only. Vignesh, like when we were talking earlier, like you spoke about your opinion on players having a T20 mindset. So which is what Sriram also touched upon. So what do you think? Like Sriram suggests, like maybe should India already go for like three different teams for three different formats, like at one point which England tried out.
See, it is happening in one way if you see, because if you look at right now, because we are playing so many number of games as it was compared to yesteryears, right? What is happening these days is, as and when the test series is going on, just after the test series, immediately there is a T20 competition happening in South Africa, and you have a completely a different team. Okay, with more amount of games which is happening, it is impossible. I echo the same thing what Sriram says. It's impossible to actually play all three formats of the game. Only the best of the best can actually adapt to that. And I would say is less than 5 to 10% is what the best of the best would be to do that particular thing. Switch in and switch off, right? I can give a quote of somebody like Murli Vijay. Okay, what he did, the Murli Vijay 2.0 version, I really liked it because when he was struggling for runs, when he came in as an opener, what he did was he consumed so much amount of deliveries. Playing in Sena countries is not easy. And as an opener, he knew where his off stump was. He left the ball alone so much and then scored those kind of runs. In CSK, he had a completely different scenario what he was playing, or when he went to Kings 11 Punjab. So the thing here is the amount of T20 cricket is being played. Automatically, what happens to you is the patience. I would say I would still use the word patience because you lose a little bit of patience, right? I thought, in my humble opinion, Ashwin had got that particular grit to actually grind out more overs, but he went in for a reverse sweep. I thought, everybody is talking about that reverse sweep. Why Ashwin played that reverse sweep when it was not necessary, right? Because everybody knew what Ashwin is capable down the order, and he is known for winning those kind of matches. Why did he play the shot? Let's not debate too much onto that, but the question always comes in: is a false stroke is the cause of concern? I would still say yes to a bit, because there have been instances, even Rachin Ravindra in the second innings came down the track and got beaten in the flight, right? And Sriram said this particular point. I need to re-emphasize one particular aspect. In Test cricket, bowlers doesn't have limit to the number of overs that they are bowling, right? In T20, it's only 4 overs. And all that they do is that in the first over, they go in for 15 or 16 runs. You don't even get a chance to bowl the second over. And that's the captain's decision. So what happens? You don't have that opportunity to flight the ball more. So you have to ping it and then bowl more quicker ones, rather than the traditional deliveries where you need to get that flight and turn and other things. And of course, the conditions also play an important role because it's more flat tracks. So you can go with the ball and then hit it towards the V, or even tong the ball towards the cow corner for a six. That always happens. But in pitches like this, more patience is required, and that is what I felt. And maybe not actually adding up very well to the number of T20 games that India is playing, and suddenly you need to off. So I will reiterate that particular points have specialists. Sriram did mention a lot of people over there. One fine example is another the test series. And I've seen a lot of examples. In Sri Lanka previously, you should have a rescuing act being done by somebody like Hashan Tilagar, actually very, very well aware of during the time of 90s and 2000. When chips were down, it could be 25 or 5. He would come and play a handy role, right? And even they were playing so very well because number of risk-taking ability was really less. It's all through the ground. But now it has changed because of T20. That could also be the reason for the batting failure. But as far as bowling is concerned, we are still on line with the, I don't see any dearth in quality in terms of spinners. Just that batting patience and taking less number of risk will be the important aspect when you're playing 50-over game, because we have not played 5 days of cricket, the whole series itself.
Right. And Sriram, before we wrap, one quick question. You have been with the Australian national team and you know the Australian conditions very well. So what would be your advice, or your opinion on what the Indian batters and the bowlers should do from a technical point of view?
I think Australia is not an easy place to tour. It's always a very tough place. It's unrelenting. Again, it's a very vast country, and pitches are different. Perth is different from Brisbane to, say, Melbourne to Sydney. So I think adapting is going to be key. And from a bowler's perspective, I think it's important to find those right lengths. You got to be slightly fuller in Australia than you can be in India. So you got to be able to still put in that effort and pitch the ball slightly up. Don't get carried away with the bounce and go short. It just plays into the hands of the Aussie batters. They're very good against anything pitch short. And same with the Indian batters. I think it's important not to drive, and drive is a shot that you can't play in Australia. You got to really wait for the ball to come, play the ball under the eye, look for scoring options, a square of the wicket, wait for the cut shot. And like what Vignesh said, I think patience will be key because Australians will be unrelenting with their line and length. Cummins, Hazelwood, they're very known for their accuracy. And I think they should be very careful driving initially, unless the ball is really pitched up, and have a very, very clear game plan as to how they build the innings. I think Virat and Rohit's experience going to be very vital. Virat's done very well, and I'm sure he'll be keyed up for a big series like this. And yeah, I really hope that he comes back to his best because he likes the ball coming onto the bat. The pace and bounce in Australia should suit his game a little more than the dusty spinning wickets in India. Uh, so I really hope Virat has a good series. And it'll be a good learning curve for the youngsters like Jaiswal. If he bites, if India gets off to a good start, like give India 80 for no loss, 60 for no loss, and that will set the ball rolling. I think the first session, if you're batting first, will hold the key. Yeah, be patient, 60 for no loss, and then we've got the batting to sort of build it to 300, 350. But if you are 15 for 2, I think these old memories will come back to haunt them. So I think a lot rests on how we start the innings.